أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So since last term we started from Surah Baqarah, we are trying to not study Surah Baqarah per se, but we are trying to understand about Qur'an. And at the beginning of Surah Baqarah, Quran introduces itself as guidance and then talks about three mindsets, three personality types. Last term, we covered muttaqeen, God conscious in depth. Then this term, we started with kafir, the denier. And last week, we started covering munafiq, the hypocrite. So for muttaqeen, Quran talks about that mindset with 4 verses. For denier, kafir, Quran talks about it with 2 verses. But for munafiq, Quran is going to describe it using 12 verses. So this is the most in-depth model mindset that we are being reminded of. So believer muttaqin was conscious. Let's very quickly remember الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. So they do have conviction, iman in the unseen. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. They do the prayer. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And then they give charity from whatever is given to them as sustenance. So they do have this iman as a verb, ongoing verb in their life, but also they apply or realize it in their practical life as well with the prayer and charity. When it came to kafir, kafir was the person who outright says, I already have the answer. I am not interested in your answer. So for such a mindset, what can one do? Like even if it is the best of the answers, best of the guidance, nothing much can be done. Now comes the third group of people, hypocrisy and hypocrites. So last week we covered these verses. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. There are people who say, we believe in God and the last day, the while they are not believers. Like they do have it as a verb, as a word saying that I do believe. And when I say they, it sounds like talking about somebody outside, but this mindset, it could be me. And this is what we were focusing more last week. But it never became a state. وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ means this belief never became their second nature. The example Brother Birkan gave was somebody being able to speak doesn't make them a
poet.
A poet. This does not like automatically click as such. And then there was this interesting follow-ups on this. Like, I guess in the biggest picture, because this is really the big picture that now Quran is drawing for us, Iman is supposed to be or expected to be my lifestyle, which gets embedded into everywhere in my life. But then I will find myself in this gray zone of hypocrisy whenever my conviction doesn't match my reality. Make sense? Like I am saying I believe, but I deal with human beings in a way that doesn't feel like I'm a believer. Like my belief is not reflected on that interaction. Or when it comes to, as we were talking about it over the weekend, when it comes to my professional life, I'm not acting like a person who has conviction and belief that there must exist God, that there must exist an afterlife. It doesn't show itself there. So in this regard, this is the hypocrisy that's taking place. So, and then there was this mention of يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Yes.
I think it's really important what you just said a moment ago. With hypocrisy, we shouldn't simply take it as these people are lying. Like, they don't believe, they know they don't believe, but still they say they believe. If that was the case, it would be, as you said, like putting too much emphasis on it, well, bias. And I know that I don't lie in that manner. So how it would guide me? But rather, we should take it as the people who think they have a belief, and they have belief in the beginning and the end, like a God and the hereafter. But when you look at their daily lives, you don't see this belief in their life. Now it applies to me. Now I can get the guidance from that, because I find myself most of the time that I say I believe, and I think I am a believer. I believe in God. But when it comes to my relationship with my child or my boss, or I don't know, a food that I like or dislike, God is not there.
And this is why we will keep seeing this phrase at the end of the verses, like وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ, like this type of things, but they do not realize, they do not perceive, they are not conscious of it. Like, this is why this matter of hypocrisy is a tough business, really. And why Sahaba used to apply these verses to themselves. It was not like they were not trying to identify a hypocrite out there, but they were trying to check, is this verse really talking about me, type of an attitude. So this is why, as we are reading these verses, we should be searching for, if, like, just to be a little too stark, how much of a hypocrite am I? Or am I a hypocrite? If I am, how much? Where do I fit in this spectrum? So
in what actions I act like a hypocrite?
And also, in every single action, how much of it is sincere? How much of it is hypocrisy? Like, I love my brother Mukhtar, this relationship, and I just said I love my brother Mukhtar. So was my belief in God part of this word, this relationship, or is it just like I wanted his nod and just say that, oh, he's a good guy? Like, where does this happen? Because this is how that's going to become guidance for us. And then في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. So in their heart is disease, and Allah increases their disease, and they are in deep pain. ولهم عذاب أليم, they are in a deep pain because of what they did. We talked about this last week, so I would like to skip this part and get to today's verses. So then we will start seeing a few verses, a bunch of verses, which all start when they are said, when they are asked. So the first three verses we covered were giving us a big picture of this hypocritical mentality, mindset, or state. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ. Very interesting. And when they are told, do not spread corruption on earth, they answer, we are but improving things. Like this muslihun is, in some other translations, it was saying we are reformers. We are nothing but reformers. We are doing whatever we do for the better. أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْمُفْسِدُونَ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. For verily it is they who are spreading corruption, but they perceive it not. Let's deep dive into these verses. So, إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ, let's pay a little bit of attention to this at the formation of the verse. It says, when they are said. So, who says that? Like, does somebody come and face the person? Let's say Abdullah was entering the building and the security guy stopped and asked, where are you going? Right? Do somebody stop people and ask them, who is asking that question when they are asked? And this is a guidance for us. Let's keep that in mind. And if nobody else asked that question so far to you, I guess the verse is talking about me. I am asking you when they're asked.
Would it be Allah's verses, like when you're perceiving the guidance, when you're trying to act in that way, it's speaking to you and it's telling you, do not spread corruption on earth. But they're saying, well, that's not talking about me. I'm improving things.
Yeah. Actually, we will find ourselves in situations when we do something, that question is going to be, like from inside, you will find such questions. You're doing something, and am I doing right or wrong type of a question pops up in you. But then you say, oh, I'm doing it for the good. Like, let's say, with my kids, I either shout at them or just spoil them. I do something with them. But you, time to time, keep questioning yourself. Am I doing right? Is this the right thing? But this self-question, where does this question come from? As if the creator keeps those questions in. Like within society, yes, we can just make it a little bit cartoon-like to say that somebody comes and asks you, don't spread corruption on earth. That could be one way to take it. But it doesn't happen that frequently, especially not in the United States, unless you are, I don't know, money laundering or something, like IRS will come. Otherwise, in this politically correct society, people wouldn't mess up with each other too much. We respect everything, sort of an attitude. But this internal questioning keeps happening. You find yourself a little uneasy. You do something, but then you try to legitimize yourself. You come up with excuses for yourself. Because you don't want to be, like nobody wants to have this self-image of a bad guy. I do something, but I would like that what I do is, I want to believe that it's a good thing. So that internal questioning is happening. So actually, we do keep hearing this verse, so when they are asked, when they are said, the Creator keeps saying this to us actually. Those questions are not even self-questioning. The Creator put those, if you like, disturbing questions in us to give us an opportunity. Yusuf, why did you honor Mukhtar by saying, oh, Mr. President, was it for, like, are you trying to manipulate the guy or what? No, I'm just trying. This internal question keeps happening. So, لا تفسدوا في الأرض. Do not spread corruption on earth. What corruption are we talking about here? And eventually the response will be, we are making reforms. But what sort of a corruption does hypocrite do? Or what sort of a corruption is associated with hypocrisy?
I think one of the things that I think about is maybe innovations on the religion, sort of the assumption that, or the underlying assumption is that what Allah prescribes for us is the best path for us and the best actions that we can take. And deviating from that is corrupting the most natural position that we should be in.
That's good. But and I would like to open this up a little bit, because when we say corruption in religion, let's say, when it comes to your, since still it's fresh in my mind, professional life in today's society, like how many rules can you list from religion that applies to your professional life? A bunch of, like, it's not like it really limits every single aspect of your professional life. There are a lot of room here and there to just put something by yourself. So this is why when we generally take religion or bid'ah in this sense as those list of rules, still it gives us a lot of room where this wouldn't apply. But to me, this feels like this is applicable to way more.
Mhm.
So what else could it be? Like, for example, in my relationship with Claude, what sort of a corruption can I be doing in here? Or anything of that sort. لا تفسدوا في الأرض. Like what sort of thing? Because fasad in here means corruption, corrupting something.
Similar to Matthias' point, basically you're setting an example for other people that this is what religion is supposed to be. For let's say children, they see these adults that are praying 5 times a day, they're praying, they're doing charity, and then they do these actions that don't align with the religion, and that kids think that this is what religion is. This hypocritical state of appearing good to God, but then not being good in actions. That's kind of spreading corruption in the society.
Okay. But let's say when you are, I don't know, giving a candy to your kid, what can you corrupt? Or even when you are teaching religion to your kids, like can you do it hypocritically, for example? You're teaching religion to your kids. Or can I say salam to you hypocritically? Like, I guess everything has sincerity and hypocrisy in it. So this should really be applying to anything and everything. But what does it mean that corrupting things on earth? Maybe we can focus on the word corruption here. You have a comment there? Oh, okay. So corruption. If there is something that I am messing up, but my perception of it is, well, actually I am fixing it. To be able to have the mindset of fixing something, I need to perceive that actually it is corrupt at this point. Like it's not good, and I am fixing it. By its default state, it's bad, and I'm trying to make it better. But it looks like the verse is taking it from the other way around. No. By you seeing it messed up, something is messed up in you. And by you claiming to fix it, like for example, if I come to this room and for the sake of a simple example, let's assume this is really standing at its best place. It's a super material example, so take it with a grain of salt. I came into the room, whomever put it here really made all the measurements and whatnot, and this is the perfect spot. I come here, and I take it from there and put it over there, the other corner. And then the owner of the building comes and says, well, what are you doing? I say, well, I'm fixing things. He says, no, you are corrupting. It used to be in where it's supposed to be, but now you messed it up. What does this mean in the real life? The creation, and by creation, I don't simply mean the biological balance and everything, but the creation, my relationship with the creation as a human being, with all my feelings and whatnot, is set in a way that the creator says, don't mess up with this orderly setup. I set this up for a purpose as such. Just enjoy and learn what you're supposed to learn. But I enter the environment and I start changing things. I say, it doesn't look like good here. It's not good as such in there. Does this make sense? Like I start making changes in the name of fixing, although I am corrupted. Because what's my perspective here? Universe is, creation is a mess, and I will correct it. What's the alternative view? No, the creation is beautiful. I am supposed to learn from it. I am supposed to try to understand what does the author mean in here. Let me give you another example. Maybe it's going to make it a little clearer. Qur'an is yet another book, just like the universe is, right? Imagine the book is there. I read the verse. I say, This verse doesn't make sense today. Actually, probably because it was written 14 centuries ago. Actually, I just change the verse and say, oh, this is what it is. And then if somebody would come and say, what are you doing? You're corrupting the book. I would say, no, I am fixing it. It was broken and I fixed the book. And this would clearly be a bid'ah because I'm really distorting the religion in this case. Make sense?
Mhm.
Now let's apply it to the life itself. The life, the existence is such a book. In my life, there are sentences, which is, I was born in such and such a place, and now I am in such and such a country. I went through this and that. It's a book. I read the book, and I read it, and I say it doesn't make sense. Like, I didn't like this, how the story is going. And then I try to manipulate the book itself. I'm trying to reinterpret the book, my life, in a way that, let's go with, again, professional success. I am given this desire to become professional, successful. I find myself in the book of me, it is written as such. But within the creation itself, what's the point of this desire for success if it's going to end up in a hole that they will bury me at the end of my life? It's meaningless. What am I supposed to do? Read this carefully and say that this success cannot be for the sake of itself. This success cannot be for people to applaud me, because all their applause doesn't pass beyond grade. What's the point of chasing this? It should be for something else. This is what I'm supposed to read out of it. But what do I do? No, yes, going into grave doesn't make sense, but live the moment. Just enjoy the most. What else can you do? Just try to achieve as much success as possible, feel the best way, get the most applause. This is the meaning of it. Now I am trying to what? Because this is the attitude, actually. This is what we were trying to do last Saturday. At the beginning, we said, this retreat is not going to be about finding a way for you to bend the rules of religion so that since religious rules are preventing you to become successful in professional life because there is no interest, and then there are those, I don't know, rules that religion brings in, like ethical rules and whatnot, we will give you some sort of a corners, shortcuts and whatnot, which temporarily you can bypass them and it's going to be okay. This won't be our attitude. Sometimes we do that. We are trying to find like shortcuts and whatnot, saying that, oh, I'm just fixing it because in the society, what else can you do? As if fixing, I am corrupting. When it comes to religion, this is understandable. But religion, by religion, I mean explicit rules of religion. Let's say, don't take interest, right? But how about my success journey itself? Or my desire to eat food? Like, shall I really is the purpose of this tongue being given to me is to appreciate as much food as you can. Go to 5 Michelin star restaurants, eat it. I mean, yeah, it might be halal, might not be halal. This might be one thing, but let's say 100% halal, certified halal. But when I eat it, do I find what was the reason for this food to be there? Was it just this temporary joy? Or was it for something else? So going back to our initial description, I say I believe, but when it comes to how I am eating food, I am forgetting, or God is not there at all. And when somebody says, why are you eating as such? I say, well, I'm just fixing things. This is how food was supposed to be eaten, to enjoy more. No, it was not. You are now spreading corruption. You're not fixing anything. You're corrupting it. Faces are a little puzzled. What do you think? What part doesn't make sense? Yeah.
Well, I will not answer the last question.
Okay.
Not raising raise my hand. So, like trying to apply it to, let's say, the others first to make it simpler, and then make it back to myself. So, when it comes to charity, for instance, we have all these philanthropic movements, humanitarian efforts. When we look at them, what is the final outcome? Like, I would ask this question. And I'm not talking about, whether they are efficient or not, how to maximize them, optimize them. I'm not talking about that. I want to think about the humanitarian efforts in general. What comes to our mind? The first thing. Let's say, if we talk about the charities that provide food for hungry people, what is the first thing comes to our mind? People are hungry. Okay? The humanitarian words that working on justice, giving rights to, is that whatever, it doesn't happen. What comes to our mind first thing? Injustice. One way or another, the product, the fruit of these efforts is this idea of poverty, the idea of injustice. And it is as if, again, one way or another, they're teaching people, right, that there is injustice on earth. There is poverty on earth, imbalance on earth. So it's kind of a contradictory thing, right? It's interesting because you are trying to prevent injustice, let's say, but you are enforcing in people's mind that the injustice is everywhere. You're actually multiplying it. So again, don't think about these, the sinister billionaires or who are trying to use, the philanthropy as a, what is it called?
Tax evasion.
Tax evasion, or any, the reasons they hide behind. I'm talking about the regular people. I'm talking about, the people with good intentions. Because the starting point, as you mentioned, is that there is no justice in creation. The creation is nothing but clashes of blind forces. If you can survive within this clash, you are in good hands. If you cannot, you are unlucky. When you start with such a worldview, and this is the worldview in all of our months, that is the mainstream thing. If you check yourself, you will realize this is what you believe as well. If you start with such an ideology, the creation is nothing but the clashes of blind forces. This is how economics is defined, for instance. Almost all economical theories based on such clashes. Okay? Everything about the finance is based on clashes. Most of the social theories based on clashes. Right? When you start with that, and when you say that, okay, we will correct it, what you are actually doing is spreading the idea of clashes of forces, survival of fittest, injustice on earth. But if you ask them, they would say, come on, man, like we're trying to do something salih, right, righteous. We are feeding poor.
Say that.
Yeah, what is the alternative? How Quran defines, for instance, or how Islam, Quran defines charity. You do charity for what? From a Quranic perspective. To help people or clean your the wealth, the main thing, right? You have wealth accumulated and you take some part of it. Zakat is the one way, for instance. So you are helping yourself. Okay? You are helping yourself and you're reminding yourself that the wealth does not belong to you. It is given to me for certain reasons, and distributing it to giving it to the right places. You cannot even do it as you wish. Quran tells you should give, the charity, at least certain types, to these and that type of people. It's not even to you. It's not even yours to decide to whom you will give it. Right? Completely opposite definition. Quran says there is an order in the creation. There is a justice in the creation. And if you want to learn about this justice, you need to give charity as a part of your education. To teach yourself that it's not your wealth, that you cannot do with it whatever you want. Right? I will teach you. So when you do it charity this way, and when you spread this idea, right, now you are spreading something right. And when people live in such a society, what they do, they look and see nothing but an order and justice. So you almost like a flourishing the environment so that people will see justice. I don't even I have authority on my property, right? I have to follow the just one. When you act like this, the people see nothing but justice and order. So it is opposite of fasad.
So to just add on top of this, or just to explain to myself, in both cases, I believe a muttaqin, a God conscious, versus a person who is in the mindset of this nifaq, hypocrisy, they're both giving charity. They're both doing the, apparently from outside, they both feed the poor. But now, in the hypocritical mindset, the idea is that there was something broken that I am fixing by giving the food. But in the God-conscious mindset, no, the creation is set up that I am given the sustenance, and this person is not given the sustenance, but I am given with the feeling of giving away to this person is a perfectly set up order so that I learn about the sustainer, that person learns about the sustainer. Nothing is broken, actually. The system is perfectly set up because the purpose of this existence is so that I get to know the sustainer and that other person gets to know the sustainer. And this setup perfectly functions in this regard, actually. Nothing is broken.
If the one who gives the money in this setup, for instance, spreads such an idea, the one who gets the money, he would think, such a perfect creation. That is the one who, taking care of everything out there, taking care of me as well, by sending this stranger to give the money that I need. So I am in the good hands of the one who creates. That's the idea that he will learn or she will learn. On the opposite side, though, what is being taught, there are some privileged people. They are privileged out of what? Pure chance. I was born here, I was born there. This family, that family. No reason at all. Just pure chance, random chance. right? They are privileged, and because they don't want us to rebel, so they're just feeding us a bit. But this is such a terrible system. The same act, apparently, one is spreading justice, the idea of justice in their mind. The other one is spreading the idea of,
or even if the person really gives with good intentions to them out of their kind heart, since where does this kindness coming from now? It's coming from that person. Like that person has this kindness innately, and I did not. Like there's this hierarchy now. This person is higher, I am lower. Although in the other scenario, how would it be? The giver would give in the name of not their selves or their kindness, but they will give in the name of the provider, the sustainer, the creator. So if I give this to Muhtar, I would say, this is not mine. You and mine together, sustainer, our creator, gave it to me so that I hand it over to you. Like you don't have to feel any obligation and sort of like low feeling towards me. Just go and thank your creator. Like this is now becoming the way of interaction. From beginning to end, in the second type of interaction, the creator is in the picture. From the point of view of me, the giver, Mukhtar, the taker, like the creator is everywhere in this picture. But in the first one, and there's nothing wrong, like there's nothing corrupt, nothing messed up here. Even the way the system is set up, I say this is the perfect way. It was supposed to stay there. Really, I'm not eradicating poverty by feeding you in this case, because this was not the point. Yes, like my feelings are deriving me towards giving it to you, but now I see the wisdom behind it. Taking it this way, actually, now let's reconsider what it means that corruption on earth. I mean, we can see that it directly applies to religion, but it applies to everything, like giving charity, but even smiling to someone, even saying, just smiling at Mukhtar and saying, oh, Mr. President, what? This is another type of charity, if you think about it. Like any sort of interaction, the way I eat food, the same attitude applies. Yeah.
Does this thought process take away from, let's say, innovation? Because a lot of companies these days, everyone's like driven by this purpose of, I'm gonna improve life. We're gonna change things, innovate, solve diseases, cure illnesses. And we've established that it's already perfectly, everything's in harmony, and fixing all of these things isn't really going to change the state of harmony. You're still going to be in harmony before and after you cure this disease. But then wouldn't the society just be stuck, let's say 1,000 years back, if this was the mindset we chose, like, okay, our purpose here is to learn the lessons when we do anything. And once I've learned my lesson, what is it that I'm pursuing at this point?
Let's apply this to giving food. Go ahead.
And I'm not saying that it's wrong to be 1,000 years back, because maybe at the end of the day, everyone feels this, like the pain and the misery doesn't change. There's new problems all over. But this can be a debate for a lot of people that I can see how today the present is much better than a few centuries back, just in terms of like the mortality rate and cures and the diseases.
or your life maybe, but the people in Gaza, for instance, it's
universal. Like if you look at the state of the
Average
population,
age. Okay.
average mortality is better.
there is no there is no such thing as average person living. It always boils down to you versus me or her. So the averages usually don't mean much. That's what I mean.
You can count numbers and say like 50 people were dying out of 100 now. 20 are dying out from the same disease.
Okay.
But as experience, and we're
Okay, inshallah, I'll get to there. Yes.
I think
As in,
what you're saying is it's logical, but I think it's also process dependent. which is defeats the purpose. And I guess an example, an easy like an example to point to would be the ayah in the Quran where Allah says, "Whoever has killed one soul, it's as if they killed the entire humanity. And whoever saves one soul, it's as if he saved all of humanity." Right? So like again, like talking about innovation, like over the past 20 years, mortality rates have dropped significantly than over the past 100 years. And so let's take the example of a Muslim doctor and a non-Muslim doctor that go into this with the mindset of, I'm trying to save as much lives as possible. So that's the product, right? So product is lives saved. But the Muslim scientist, the Muslim doctor who keeps this verse in mind, and as he's working in the lab, as he's, doing his education, as he's doing all this, he's doing this with the goal of obtaining the reward from Allah, and he's reminded of Allah as his provider, and as the one that gives him life, and as the one that's allowing him to be able to help people. And so through that, the person that's saved from that process is also reminded of Allah. And in that case, the technological innovation is something that's productive. But on the flip side, what you have is someone that goes into surgery, they live, when they wake up, they thank the surgeon. That's the opposite of like this thought process that goes wrong. So it's not process dependent it's not outcome dependent. It's process dependent regardless of the outcome.
One small thing, if I might add in between, and then I'll get back to you. Like in the example of feeding the poor, would this mindset stop people from feeding the poor? Because if you apply to science, question whether it will stop science or innovation, right? But does this mindset would stop people feeding the poor? Yes, it can. Does it necessarily? I mean, of course, you can misunderstand everything, but does it have to lead to stopping the feeding of the poor?
You would be contradicting Qur'an if you stop, because you need to help.
No, just this idea that was explained, because through the experience of, I am given the feeling of hunger is disturbing. I am given this feeling. And also I'm giving the feeling to feed the poor. I am given the means for doing that too. But also, when I'm going to do that, there are two ways to do that. The point was this, right? The point was, I will feed the poor because it's good, because I am a good person. It's all about me doing something. In the second one, no. With this, I am realizing that this feeling of feeding came to me. It's not mine. The food that I'm going to serve is not mine. I was provided in the first place. And this interaction is going to teach me something more. And it's not like once I am done and I got it. Because like you love your mom, but when you see after, I don't know, you just came, let's assume next year you guys go, you'll go and hug your mom again. Don't you know what it means to hug your mom? Like renewing this experience is itself the joy, and there's no limit, especially if you're getting to learn the sustainer, the provider. There's no end to that. So you would like to renew this experience in your life. This is why you would give to that poor or this poor or anybody else for the sake of getting to know the experiencing your creator in a sense. So you wouldn't stop that. Same thing applies for science as well. The only thing that changes is the mindset is changing. Actions do not change. Actually, this was the whole point of Saturday's retreat. The question was professional success on the footprints of prophets. And the example we pick up there was exactly something related to doctors. We said, Isa alayhi salam resurrected a dead person, or he healed sick people. And today, a doctor also heals the sick people. But Isa alayhi salam did it
in a miraculous way, right? People comes for Prophet Muhammad as well. People bring their sick, and Prophet ﷺ makes a dua, and the person gets healed and walks out. Right? What was the point here? Like when Prophet was showing such a miracle, what did he do? He just made a dua. What's a dua? Asking. You just ask. You know that you don't have it. You cannot give health to this person. And you ask it from the one who is the healer. So for experiencing this, to observe the healer at work, he asks from him. And also he shows it to others, saying that, see, I don't have magic, I don't have any power in my hands. My sustainer and your sustainer, my healer and your healer is healing this sick person. He also did this, right? Did he stop doing this? No, he kept doing it because it increased his own conviction as well as spreading the word that he is the healer by interacting with people. Now you're a medical doctor. A sick person comes. There's a need. Healing is needed. What do you do in this case? Say, I need to ask from the one who heals. But there are different ways of asking. One way of asking is opening your hands and saying, oh, Allah, give it to me. Another way of asking is doing the experiment and whatnot. This is a way of asking, bro. And then still you expect the output from the creator, not from your experiments, because you know that putting things together doesn't create anything, right? So, but it then becomes a verb, an act of worship, like putting things together, doing the experiment in the lab, getting into surgery. And then what do you say at the end? You observe that the patient stands up healthy. What do you say? Alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah. Would you not keep doing this? Because you're in the first hand experiencing that he's creating health right before your eyes. Such exciting thing, right? It will keep, if I go with this correct mindset of seeing the creator everywhere, I would study more. I would do more surgeries, more experiments, study more sciences. The act doesn't change. The mindset is changing. How I take it is changing. So it does not necessarily, actually, it should not put me into this laziness state, saying that, oh, I got it once, I don't need to work anymore. If this would have been the case, you wouldn't eat food for a second time in your life, right? Oh, God is the sustainer. Why do I need to eat tonight? Once after the discussion, I will go home and eat. Need is being renewed. But my perspective of in tonight's dinner, inshallah, that I will eat in an hour, will I be able to see creator in there? Or, like, this is why hypocrisy. Am I going to eat the food as a hypocrite? Or am I going to eat the food as a believer? This is why these verses are really applying everywhere. And this is the tougher part of the story. This is why Qur'an is explaining it with 12 verses, rather than 4 verses for believer, 2 verses for the denier.
So maybe we should revisit this idea of perfection. I guess that was the problem causing this friction. So when Quran talks about the perfection, or when we use the word perfection, trying to understand Quran, it shouldn't be taken as whatever I see has to be stay like that. The perfection in the way that things are being created. So for instance, if my tooth is hurting, the perfection in it is not that, I have a rotten tooth. The perfection is that I feel the pain. I am weak, right? I'm not like let's say, a chair, but I can feel the pain. And I'm given this desire to search for cure. I'm in need of cure, and I have given this desire for searching for cure. And when cure arrives to me, I have the ability to understand this cure is coming from the one who controls everything, including my tooth and my pain. That's the perfection. I am given this desire, and there's a need, and there's always a sustenance for this need. There's a perfect match. Sometimes I can reach it, sometimes I cannot, but doesn't matter. In both cases, I have this desire to reach it, and through this process, I can understand that nothing but the one who gives me this pain, and nothing but the one who can controls everything in the universe, can give me the cure. I have this ability to understand. That's the perfection.
You should still pursue.
You have this desire for pursuing the cure. But what is the difference between a munafiqun perspective and a muttaqin perspective? Muttaqin perspective says, I am given this pain. It is not out of luck. It is not a glitch in my body. Something is broken in my body, hence I have this pain, or my tooth in decay. No. Muttaqin would say, my tooth was created in this decayed form for a purpose. I was given this pain for a purpose. Because there is the one who cures. And he wants me to understand that he cures. Now I am enthusiastic about my tooth, enthusiastic about the cure. I'm not suffering. I have the pain, but I'm not suffering. And when I spread this idea, right, the poor people will not be suffering anymore. They would be saying, yes, I am poor. I have desire to have more food, and I will look for it. But there's a purpose in this. It's not mere bad luck. So I see an injustice, for instance, what's happening in Gaza. The perfection is not that you should let it go. The Creator wanted to be destroyed, so let it destroy. No. Perfection is every time you see a picture, everything in you hurts, right? So Muttaqin would say, this is the evidence of justice in creation. Because when I see something against the justice, I am given this dislike. It's not my feeling that I control. If you take it as, I don't like this, and you claim ownership on your emotions. But when you say that this emotion is created in me, that means this unjust act is not liked. This is the Quranic terminology, right? Quran says Allah does not like, does not love. This is the evidence. So then you say, okay, in creation, there is justice. And I am now used as a tool for this justice. And I will serve my purpose. Otherwise, I will be acting unjust to my own creation. I was given this feeling. I was given these skill sets to fight, to do whatever you can, right? Don't be unjust. You say, okay, I have to act upon it. What is the difference? You either go there to correct injustice. There is no such thing as justice in creation. It's all about the powerful, the countries smashing each other, and I will be more powerful than them, and then I will conquer the land and save these people. This is corruption. Or you say, no, the justice is the base, and we have to act upon it. We cannot let people to see injustice and go away from belief. So I will be a tool in it. Maybe this is the reason Salahuddin was able to conquer, but not us. Maybe, I'm just saying maybe. Maybe he was there not to spread corruption, to teach people how international forces, the clashes and so on and so forth, making them unbelievers, versus us, this is our main tool. We say United Nations should do that, US should do this, the Saudi Arabia should do that, Turkey should do that. It's all about the power dynamics. That's what we are spreading.
And in this regard, then, since it's a topic, I mean, Alhamdulillah, was fruitful, but since we are more familiar with the idea of corruption when it comes to religion, let's also apply it there. If somebody slaughters animals without saying Bismillah, and then spreads the meat to you guys for feeding you, what would we say? Like, this is corrupting. Why? What's wrong in here? It's not just because it is sin to eat this meat. You really don't know if the guy said Bismillah or didn't say Bismillah. But the attitude is slaughtering the animal in the name of not the giver of food, but in the name of, like, we are kind people, so we are going to distribute. This is what it means. Slaughtering an animal in the name of Allah means the giver is Him. In His name, I can only end this life. In His name, I can distribute it to people. If I distribute food not in His name, meaning I give food to you, but I do not say Bismillah, but I say, oh, we are coming from such and such a Muslim life at Penn, we are distributing it in the name of this organization and whatnot, not in the name of the Creator. Actually, I'm spreading corruption then. Corruption because the feeder is such and such organization. The feeder is not the Creator. And then, as Brother Birkan said, what is the mindset? Oh, if such organizations didn't exist, we would be starving. There's no protector, no provider on earth. We are really spreading. And in my own world also, when I spread food as such, in my own world, I am depicting such a, like, everywhere is dark, but in this dark universe, I am a shining star. Small, I am just able to enlighten my surroundings. Just 10 people I was able to feed today. But it's just, even if it's a speck of dust, still better than nothing. For myself also, I am putting myself in a dark universe. I am corrupting myself as well. This is why, and we need to, I guess, conclude at this point. وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Let's again apply this. As I mentioned, this keeps appearing, but they are not aware. What we just discussed is something that, yeah, maybe I am not aware. Like, I am seeking success, I am seeking justice, I am trying to spread, distribute food and whatnot. But am I taking it as if I am fixing something broken out there? Or I am reading it as, this whole existence, the whole creation is so that it's perfectly designed to deliver a message to me and to every single one of us. And I'm just going through the process to get to know what it is meaning. It's perfectly matching. Nothing is corrupt in this regard. Everything is beautifully set up. But I guess to summarize, I can say, if I'm not able to observe that aspect of the creation, using the terminology that we are more aware, if I do not see the Creator in certain events, then I start taking it in this hypocritical perspective. It is broken and I'm going to fix it. And consequently, I find myself, as the previous verse was mentioning, in a deep pain in this life. Dissatisfaction. Always being in, oh, I need more. I would like to, why did it happen like this? You get a promotion, you would like to get another one. The money that was all 6 digits is too much money at some point when you were, but once you get 6 digits, you say, why not 7 digits? Like this feeling of always more. I thought I would reach satisfaction once I get there, but no, it's not. Like, these are all adabun alim that was being mentioned, the deep pain, because I didn't find what I was supposed to find there.
So I just keep finding those more trouble for myself. Yes.
Sorry, this is very interesting. The example came to my mind. In a proper Muslim society, you wouldn't see the people who are giving charity. It would be given like a done in a secret way, right? The reason is not just because these people are humble, because they wouldn't want to be like a curtain or what is the word? Like it's
Obstacle.
between the one who gets the sustenance and the sustainer. They don't want to block. If you know who's giving the charity, you may thank him or her. They would do it secretly so that people wouldn't know. Like or in the other way around, people would know that it is sustainer given, not these people. What is in our society, we know exactly how much money is donated by every single person. If you don't do it in front of the cameras, you just declare it in IRS, and you're in your tax return. I did charity this exactly that much. Just for opposite.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, we will continue from another وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ next week, because there are two more when they are said. And then inshallah, after these, there are going to be metaphors given about hypocrites. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم آخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة